Hello, today we're going to be simplifying rational expressions with common monomial factors. And our directions are just going to say simplify. So we're going to need to know that we're going to have to factor and then we'll cancel any common factors. So as I look at the numerator, I want to focus on the 12, that's the lowest number. Will 12 go into 36? And the answer is yes, so I'm going to factor that out. And then 12x divided by 12 is just x. 36 divided by 12 is 3. And on the bottom we'll have our 12. Okay, we can cancel things that are being multiplied. So this is a factor, and on the bottom I just have that constant. So I can cancel these out. 12 divided by 12 is 1. So that just leaves me with x plus 3 for my answer. And we would have gotten that if we would have done it our old way. Just 12x divided by 12 is x, and 36 divided by 12 is 3. But we're going to be using this technique for the ones that get a little bit more complicated. Okay, and our denominator was 12, and we can divide by 12, so we don't have any what's called excluded values. There's nothing that we can plug in that's going to make us have a 0 in the denominator. And we'll need to worry about that in our next problem. So let's say we have 14x plus 35 over 49x minus 7. Okay. So there is a monomial factor that goes into both of these. As I look at that smaller number, that's 14. 14 will not divide into 35, but 7 will. So when we factor out, we are actually dividing by that term. 14x divided by 7 is going to be 2x, and 35 divided by 7 is going to be 5. Okay, and if you need to do that the old way, you could do this and then divide each term by 7. Okay, and so the 7 goes here, and then what's left goes in parentheses. So 14 divided by 7 is 2, 35 divided by 7 is 5. So if you need to show that, you may. You're just dividing each term by 7. Okay, so on the next one, I see 7 is my smaller number, and it does go into 49. So you're just finding a GCF, and we're factoring that GCF out and then putting what's left. So 49x divided by 7 is 7x, and negative 7 divided by 7 is negative 1. Now we can, again, cancel things that are being multiplied. So that leaves me with 2x plus 5 over 7x minus 1. So this is my simplified expression. I can't cancel terms, things that are being added or subtracted. That would change the meaning. We can only cancel things that are being multiplied. I had 7 times 2x plus 5, 7 times 7x minus 1. So these factors were in common, so I could cancel them. But factors are things being multiplied, terms are being added. Do not ever cancel individual terms. Now, since I have a variable in the denominator, I need to worry about division by 0. There's some values I can't plug in for x. So to find that, what you do is set the denominator equal to 0. And then add 1 to both sides, and that'll be 7x is equal to 1, and then divide both sides by 7. And you want to leave that as a fraction. Okay. So if I plug in 1/7, I will have 7 times 1/7, which is 1, and 1 minus 1 is 0. We can't divide by 0. So this is called an excluded value. We do not want it to be equal to 1/7. When you're doing excluded values, you also need to think about the part you canceled, but since that was a constant and it doesn't have a variable, I don't have to worry about it. So this is my simplified answer, and then if you're asked for excluded values, it would be x not equal to 1/7. We don't want it to be 1/7. Okay, looking at the next problem, very similar to that one. 70b minus 50 over 50b plus 40. See, they all end in a 0, so that means they're divisible by 10. So let's take out a 10. 70b divided by 10, that would be 7b. 50 divided by 10, that would be 5. Let's see, 10 will go into both of those, and it is the greatest number that goes into both. So 50b divided by 10 is 5, and 40 divided by 10 is 4. And 10s are going to 10 divided by 10 is 1, and that's going to leave me with 7b minus 5 over 5b plus 4. If your directions just say simplify, you're done. That's your answer. But if it says state the excluded values, I'm going to abbreviate that. So excluded values, we're going to take that denominator and set that equal to 0. So then I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 5. And I get b equals negative 4/5. So that is my excluded value. You could leave it like that, but I always like to put a slash through it so I know I can't plug that in. Negative 4/5 times 5 would be negative 4, and negative 4 plus 4 is 0, and we can't divide by 0. Let's take a look at one a little more complicated. But again, today we're just doing those monomial factors. We'll do binomial factors in another video. Okay, so as I look at these terms in my numerator, I see I have a 6 and an x. So that's going to be my GCF. 6 goes into 18, and I can take an x out of x squared. So I'm going to factor out 6x. 18x squared divided by 6x is 3x. Negative 6x divided by itself, well, by the positive version, negative 6x divided by 6x is going to be negative 1. And then looking at 30 and 42, 6 will go into both of those, and they both have an x. So we can take an x out. 30x squared divided by 6x is 5x, and 42x divided by 6x is 7. And then 6x divided by itself, cancel those factors, and our answer is going to be 3x minus 1 over 5x plus 7. We want to know what our excluded values are. So I'm going to come over here and do that. And again, you just set that denominator equal to 0. Solve, subtract 7 from both sides, and then divide by 5. Okay, so that's one of our excluded values. We don't want it to be negative 7/5. Another one is going to be, go back and look at that denominator at what you canceled. Because if you plug in 0 here, that's going to blow that up. We can't divide by 0. So we need to set that little part equal to 0 also. Divide both sides by 6, and I get x equal to 0. So these are my two excluded values. All right, so that is simplifying rational expressions with monomial factors. Have a good day.